Welcome back to Industry Talks by Hashtag Marketing. It's an initiative we've taken to discuss the way the pandemic has affected various industries. And today's discussion is, in fact, extremely interesting because it is also a little discussion and for all of us to kind of reflect on how a society treats its citizens. And it's not, a judgment that all of us need to pass as to how it treats all its, outstanding citizens. It's also about how it treats its criminals. And for that, today, in fact, I have a dear friend who's going to be joining in. She's also the founding partner for Parisha Law Chambers. And it's been an honor and also very interesting for me to having, in fact, seen her journey throughout as a lawyer. So I'm just going to invite Sanam Siddiqui to have this discussion with me, especially about how the treatment for pregnant women is taking place during the pandemic in jails. Hi, finally.
Hi.
Hello, finally.
Finally.
Along with your request, it just got lost with a lot of other requests. So I was getting a little confused as to where you were, but found you finally. So welcome to Industry Talks, Sanam, officially.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
So today's topic is, of course, on pregnant women in jail. And it's something that, you and I discussed over the telephone, and we realized how during the pandemic, especially, in fact, if there's anything that I realized is how humanity needs to be really, really considered over here as to how we all treat each other, because the government can only do that much. But it is also about how all of us are, in fact, dealing with the pandemic, and we don't even know what's happening in places like prisons where, we've just kind of blacklisted those people, and that's that. So tell me about your feelings towards, what is happening behind bars, especially for women.
Right. That's the thing. I'm not saying that COVID should be taken as an excuse to just, release people from prisons. Mm-hmm. But even our Honorable Supreme Court and all of its wisdom decided on the 16th of March to take up a suo motu motion for prison overcrowding. Right. Now, understand that we're in COVID times, right? Now, what does that mean? COVID times means that when there is too much social interaction or when people are, stuffed like sardines in a tin can, that is not good for the general people. Forgetting about the people who are in prison. Now, imagine there are wardens, there are jailers. They have husbands, wives, children, parents, grandparents. They are interacting with other society in general as such. So that is the reason that the Supreme Court took it up as, by itself on its own cognizance.
Okay.
On the 23rd of March, I believe, they empowered high-powered committees to make certain rules for releasing patients, releasing prisoners, so that there can be some sort of decongestion, right? So that it's not so overcrowded. Okay. So I'll give you an example. In 2017, one of our government reports had stated that in some prisons, overcrowding is 300%.
Okay.
Right. Okay. That's a worrying figure. Now, prisons, we know, they were made for men more than, women. They were really not made with gender equality in mind. Even today in India, as per the last report that we do have, which is the 2018 report, 4.3% of prisoners are women, which is about 17,800 people.
Okay.
What does that mean? That we need to have some sort of compassion and sensitivity towards these women.
In fact, I also want to understand, like you said, that the jails were obviously made more for the men. But even for the women, so to speak, what are the arrangements? What are the arrangements? If you could just give us something about the arrangements and how different it is for men and women. Because, the minute I heard of this topic, if you remember, your heart goes out because you've been pregnant.
Exactly.
I think if I'm allowed, I can speak for all the mothers out there that this is a pressing issue because you don't want to born a child in an environment which is anyways extremely traumatic for the person to... you don't know.
Exactly. That's it. You've hit the nail on the head. Imagine pregnancy is traumatic enough at the best of times, especially maybe in jails. Add to that the coronavirus threat. And there is, to me, something seriously wrong if we cannot somehow get together, like you said, as a society and fight for the rights of people who are vulnerable. You and I are lucky, and grateful that we don't have to think about certain things like roof over our heads or food. So we can think about these underprivileged people, and if we can actually help them, I mean, isn't that the goal, right? To make our own society better. And you said you have a son, why not have him grow up in a better society than one that, we may have? So, yeah, so you asked me about the difference. Well,
Yeah,
gender
is what I want.
yeah, so okay, so I'll give you a basic example right now. How many bathrooms are there in prisoner?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, when it comes to women prisoners, especially, when you come about all of these, women things and cycles and whatnot, you need certain extra nutrition. Now, look, this is just women, not even pregnant women. They need certain, feminine products and things to be able to just live a life with dignity, with just a basic amount of dignity.
True.
There are now women commission reports which say that this is not sufficiently provided. See, now men don't have to worry about this, right? That's one. Second is children. Now a guy commits the most heinous of crimes, does whatever, dies in prison. Maybe none of us will shed a tear. Maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The point is with a pregnant woman, it's not just her health.
Yeah.
It's the
Your
child's
heart goes
health.
out to the baby because the baby didn't commit the crime. I mean, we're not talking about
Exactly.
don't punish the woman because we are, living in a society and there are law enforcements. But having said that, you're punishing a new life that's coming into the world, and that's not fair on any ground. And I think
It
you
can
speak
be.
of humanity. That's when you speak of humanity because you're basically just getting into that vicious circle, and it's not that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not that somebody is, going to be born there feeling great because look at the environment that we've provided. So, is there any sort of, in fact, this also, brings me to the part where I don't know if you recall, but during the Delhi riots as well, there was a 27-year-old girl that was
JNU student.
was never granted bail, and she was pregnant. And then, people are going to raise their eyebrows when I say this, but there are politicians out there who are raping girl children, and they're granted bail in no time. So, how does the law work for these kind of cases?
You're right. And now, see, that's the point. That's the difference because our court, in all of its wisdom, the Honorable Supreme Court, again, in 2006, they made certain guidelines for how pregnant women and children in jail, which is such a strange sentence to even say out loud, right? How children in jail are treated.
True.
But see, in its wisdom, the court did say that, look, when you have no other option for the child, except for the mother, there is no close relative to take care. The child is allowed to be in prison with the mother up till only 6 years of age. And there are many guidelines on how, pregnant women should be treated, the facilities, the amenities that you should be giving them. But again, in a 2018 report, our own government stated that it's not being followed. We have a model prison rules 2016. They're also being followed. So it's not that, our courts and our law has not helped them. The courts are trying. Now it's up to us to make sure that the rights that the court has already stated should be given. They should be given. They should be granted. So even, for example, we'll take the high-powered committee that's been, formed after the in-prison matter. Now these high-powered committees have taken the Honorable Supreme Court to mean that only prisoners who have 7 years of punishment or less will be taken for bail, will be considered for bail.
Okay.
Now, but the Supreme Court never said that. It only actually gave an example that maybe in these circumstances and left it open. And these are not my words. These are the actual order. They've left it open to the high-powered committees. I'll read it out. It's somewhere here. But to basically take any other relevant, means for ground for which bail should be given. So, the Supreme Court has already laid down it's made the path easier. How about that?
Okay, but in terms of, all of the so-called under trial cases, because not until you're proven guilty completely, but during the pandemic, was there any action that was taken for them, or were they also along with everybody? Because I don't think social distancing is something that was maintained in prisons, and it can't be maintained because, like you said, it's 300% over. There's no...
In some prisons.
Yeah.
Like some prisons are 112 only, 152 only.
Yeah,
so you get the...
I get the only point, but it's actually something for all of us to in fact ponder, because it's not all of us quarantined ourselves. For us, self-isolation and, ghar pe raho, all of those campaigns were fantastic. But what about all of the social distancing for even the under trial prisoners? Was there any action that was taken, or all of that is again negligent?
So again, like I said, that it's up now. The Honorable Supreme Court has done what it could. It's up to the committees. It's up to us as the public, to raise these questions and ask, why are there so many under trials still in jail? So for everyone that doesn't know, an under trial is basically, let's say I file a case against you, real, fake, imagined or not. Now the law will take its course, right? It will first register an FIR, then it will investigate.
Our timelines are a little much anyways.
Exactly. Now imagine that, and you know that all law everywhere says innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Now, where is the innocent until proven guilty here?
True.
Right? Because you're under trials. What if you contract COVID? What if you're, a child, a woman in a third trimester, she contracts it? What about the child then? Who is responsible? Who is helping them?
We don't even know about the medical facilities. We actually have no clue what's happening behind bars. And, this is exactly, in fact, all of the media part as well, everything that was even covered, nobody even thought of. And you don't. And I don't blame anybody because there's that much that one can do. But as far as, these little reforms or whatever, little regulations, something that they could have possibly done. Because when I, heard of pregnant women in jail and if a baby is born, because we were reading up as well, and that I believe every 2 months there's a baby that's born in Tihar jail. So
it's what your article, the 2013 article says. See, that you actually hit it right on you hit the nail on the head. That is the problem. We don't have this information, and shouldn't this information be made public?
Yeah.
It's right now, like I said, see, men and women are different, all said and done. All prisons in India have stated that they have all got inmates with some sort of COVID infection. Orissa has 44% in one of its jails. 44% of the patients have COVID. 20 prisons, 26 prisons all across India for female prisoners. 17,000 female prisoners. I mean, the math does not add up. And we need to somehow ask this question of the authorities and the people who, make these, for example, the high-powered committees, that shouldn't vulnerable people today be considered for bail, especially under trials? Oh, and let me not forget to tell you, again, a government report, 66% of female prisoners are under trials. Innocent until proven guilty.
No, the thing is, you don't know what sort of measures they're taking. And you don't even know, even if I'm sure as a lawyer, even if you have all the facts, you won't know where to kind of even start, because it's not a question of one prisoner that you'd be defending here. It's a question of, creating a reform by and large for all the prisons in the country. And in fact, to ask everybody if you can see Sanam clearly, because my connectivity issue today is a bit much. So Simran, maybe if you could just let me know if Sanam is clear, because on my screen you're a little hazy. So I just wanted to check if it's clear completely. So I to even get back. Is your connectivity issue fine?
Thankfully today, but I've been doing Reiki for it. So yeah, my Wi-Fi is never the best either, unfortunately.
Okay, no, it's fine. No, okay, yeah. So she's not hazy. Okay, great. So maybe it's just my screen then. And no, another thing, in fact, I wanted to ask you, Sanam, now in terms of all of the, places where you're being granted bail, I understand riots is something which is more on the aggressive side, but everybody wants their voice to be heard. Okay, Sanam, you can't be seen. You're still hazy. So just check your Wi-Fi again if possible. Voice is extremely clear, but you'll have to just check your connectivity again.
Is this better?
You're still a little hazy. Oh, this is much better. Yeah, this
all
is
right.
Better. Thank you. So I wanted to check on, see, as a lawyer, you could throw some light on, they're all being granted bail for, crimes that make you cringe and want to just question what the hell is happening and where is the law in your country. But what is happening about, cases which are really sensitive, for example, the really elderly, which like we were talking about the under trials, or the pregnant women, for example. Like, it really affects you when you think of, a girl who's just trying to, yes, if it's a peaceful protest, fine. But I believe she was a part of, the riots. But still, you're again, she was in the last trimester. So why wasn't she?
Third trimester.
Yeah, why wasn't she granted bail? So what is it that the government and
because there's no policy. Because there is no policy on pregnant women. Mind you, this is not just an Indian problem, right? Now you look at the US, it's supposed to be the most progressive country. The amount of women prisoners there are, and they have the same problem. So it's a global problem for sure. But I don't believe that India needs to follow the West. India, when you think of India, what is the first thing you think of? It's Mehman Nawazi, right? You think of you're supposed to treat your guests as gods and so on.
Yeah, true.
These are our own people. Shouldn't we be a little bit more compassionate in treating them and not look towards the West or other countries and leading the way? To me, it's a human rights issue. It's a society issue. And today, unfortunately, it's a health issue. Because all said and done, prisons need to be decongested. That is one thing that is certain.
See, that's again getting into the whole accommodation of the part of it we don't know, because there's no question of social distancing in a prison, right? So I don't even know if they have a special cell where only pregnant women are there, because had they created something like that, then you and I wouldn't be having this discussion or even thinking of that, hey, guys, try and do something about it, because it is something that you have to consider. But right now, is there any extra information that you have for the vulnerability that all of these prisoners are even put through? Is there anything that you kind of know of or know through a source, something where we can kind of let our voices be heard?
See, that's the reason when we were talking, and that's why I hit both of us, right? Women need to stand up for women. And what we know is that the courts are amenable to this. And, our courts are compassionate, all said and done. So even for, like you were saying, there is an activist, an 81-year-old poet who everybody knows, Vara Vara Rao, right? He has not yet been granted bail. However, he's still not been granted bail. However, the Honorable High Court did say that his family should be allowed to visit him because, the agency had no problems with it. So we have shown time and again that we are a society that can be compassionate. I think that compassion needs to be directed. See, a lot of people in power, all said and done, and this is the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice is a man, yet they took up this case on suo motu.
Yeah.
There are 2 female justices in the Honorable Supreme Court today. We are women. Women should understand other women's plight better. And all said and done, the court can only do so much. Then isn't it up to us as responsible members of society to raise these questions, to get policies formulated when they have to be?
True.
I'm not saying that all pregnant women should be, not in jail. Well, maybe I am, but all I'm saying is that there is a UN treaty which also says that under trial female prisoners should be a preferred bail and should not be really in prison. Look, especially in Corona, and this is back in the day, right? This is 2018. Coronavirus was not a thing then. Today, to me, these women face a much higher risk than other population. And look, fine. A criminal dies inside a jail, a horrible rapist, like I said, maybe none of us would, really drop a tear or really open our eyes to that. But that's not how the law is supposed to work. The law, again, I'm saying innocent until proven guilty, one. And the second most important thing is you can't give somebody a death sentence without even hearing them.
I was just going to say that because, see, it's a question of a life sentence during the pandemic, which could also just lead to a death sentence. So you don't know whether, I think, of course, everybody, you learn and you grow. And even as a society, all of us obviously need to keep coming up with these reforms. But having said that, nobody saw the pandemic coming. So it's, for me right now, the question is not that, okay, pandemic, yes or no. What are we doing about the women that are suffering over here, or the newborn baby, that's going to come into this world? Like, what sort of an environment are we really looking at over here? And I think that is where, if, like you said, that there are women in power right now and in a place where they can kind of put forth, and I hope somebody watching here or, even later takes this discussion and really truly takes it into consideration to create those reforms. Because as lawyers and as the government and law and order, there's only that much that we can also stretch ourselves. Yes, if someone is wrong, you are punishing them. But having said that, what are the medical?
No, we start. I mean, we just started.
Yeah.
We can also start these petitions or whatever, because, to me, it's a logical one. We know that overcrowding is a problem. That is not a problem for just the people in jail. That is a problem for all of us as a society at large, right?
True.
The second problem to me is what affects only these women, which are the pregnant women.
True.
They may be a small fraction, but I think they are the most vulnerable. So I'll tell you something astonishing. So during the bail hearing for, this 27-year-old activist, the Delhi police had submitted that there have been 39 deliveries that have taken place in Tihar jail in the last 10 years. I mean, that's to me a worrying statistic. Why would you be even saying that to court? I mean, as soon as this comes across, as soon as it's in the public domain, we all need to question that 1 second. Just because 39 deliveries have happened in 10 years doesn't make it okay. It makes it worse. Like, what do you mean they've been happening in Tihar jail?
Yeah, 39 reported deliveries.
In Tihar jail, that's one jail, mind you.
I don't know what the true statistics is, and I honestly, in fact, one of my other industry talks is also with, discussing about how much does the media actually tell us. Because you don't know, and even the facts and figures for the pandemic, it's not something that I'm entirely believing, because, it's all ghar pe raho, everybody's stuck on the road. So the numbers that they're talking about, it's not something that I would truly consider, because you have no idea what's happening. And information is something that, and plus it's the eyes, what they hear.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. So all of these, measures that probably people are having these discussions, I truly hope that something does happen. But your power as a lawyer, tell me, what are you going to do about this? This up. Okay, Sanam is going to, yes, thank you for that, Sid. We do need better internet plans, and today both of us have been juggling with our internet issues. But anyways, it was really something for all of us to reflect and take back, because honestly, I think criminals is something that is born from the society. And all of us need to dig deep to see what sort of reforms we can consider over here. I'm going to let Sanam in again, but we'll try and conclude this entire discussion, because I think we're facing a lot of connectivity issues today. Everyone's writing women empowerment, and thank you for that. But it's more about the unborn babies. And I really, being a mother, I don't want them to come in an environment with so much of physical or mental trauma. So let's try and give our babies something that, we can all hope for that. Sanam, thank you for coming in again. I think there has been a connectivity issue. But I try to conclude with, how as a society, all of us need to consider, reforming ourselves, because criminals are born from the society. So what would you like to say to end this discussion? And just give me something about, as a lawyer also, that you were mentioning that, yes, you do want to represent and you do need public support. But as a conclusion of our discussion, what is it that you'd like for everyone to take home?
Just a thought about what we can do to help people who are vulnerable. Like, look at how the US has taken on the cause. We all know Black Lives Matter. It's not such a big cause. It's made global. Pregnant women as a cause, to me, shouldn't be a cause. It should be a societal responsibility. Yet that is where we are. It is what it is. So yeah, what I would like to do is, now that we never thought about it, this kind of stuff never, till the, activists bail and then information started coming out in the public. I spent a lot of time researching this as well. As you know, you've seen that note, which is like, mind you, that is every single thing that is in the public domain. And it's shameful because it's not a lot. There's not too much in the public domain. So I think, yes, the one thing that we should all try to do is get these figures in the public domain. That automatically assumes greater accountability for, the government or even jail authorities.
In fact, you brought up Black Lives Matter, and even right now, because of the what's happening in Turkey, all of us, in fact, are posting black and white pictures for women empowerment, and also chosen this discussion this week when that hashtag has been doing the round.
Mm-hmm.
But it really upset me quite a lot, when there was a case in Tamil Nadu, if you remember, the father son that were beaten up. Behind bars again. It's that entire story, which was I'm so grateful to.
Custodial violence, and see now this is again, those are men.
Yeah,
So there was a female activist, there is a female activist, Adivasi activist, Soni Suri. The Supreme Court has, in an inquiry, stated that she underwent sexual torture under custody. I mean,
I'm pretty sure every woman and every man would, because you're locked up, there's already so much of crime and devilish functions, as we say, working. So it's what really upset me about that entire issue was that nobody spoke up, and none of us really put up any picture for that all lives matter. It isn't just about Black Lives Matter. In this case, in fact, all of the celebrities, so to speak, everybody who, and when I say celebrity, I mean everyone who's today on Instagram and calling themselves bloggers, influencers with, getting your voice and you want it out there and to be heard. Why didn't anyone really speak up for that? And there was only this one woman who spoke up, and even her video was taken off. So it's really upsetting.
I mean, see that, but to me, it's not just okay. It is in a way upsetting, but I think it's also so empowering that female, that radio jockey, could make such a difference. That courts took cognizance of it. So we know now, we have that voice, and trust me, we do for the time being. You were talking about Turkey. The social media law that they've just passed, right? So they've made it very difficult.
Yeah, so the minutes again, but even for all of us, when you talk of these issues, I think everybody needs to kind of collectively now also speak up for any and every issue for all lives that matter. Especially in this case, it's an unborn baby coming out into our society, into our world. What is it that we're offering them? So I think I really want to conclude with how all of us...
I want to finish. I want to say one thing and conclude. You can conclude after that, because like you said, even again, the Honorable Supreme Court has also stated that a criminal may be a criminal for whatever reasons, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the basic right to life, dignity of life. So our courts can say that we need to make sure that our government and our policies uphold those virtues.
True. So, thank you so much. Apart from the connection,
thank you.
I do hope that the message was sent across, and we're going to have you at a later time, I'm sure, with another pressing concern. So please keep doing what you do. This was a brilliant discussion, Sanam, and I'm really happy with all the messages also that we've been getting. A few I'm not sure if you were able to read, but with the signal issues today, I think a lot of things have been missed, but we'll be uploading this again. And I'm going to speak to you and have this discussion to see where we've reached in reforming.
Yes, and to see how we can take it further now. Yes, absolutely. Let's do this. Two powerful women together, right?
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanjana,
Thank you.
That message and that feedback. But thanks. I'm going to speak to you soon. Okay?
All right. Bye. Bye. See you.
So thank you so much for everyone. This time, of course, there were a lot of hiccups, but I do hope that everyone has taken this discussion, home to reflect on how, as a society, all of us can truly create a change, because it really depends on us. So even the crime rates, in fact, I am a practitioner of Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, and in fact, all of us, we try and look at the land that we're living in and how impure it is. So this is again from, one of our Gosho studies, which are these letters that Nichiren Daishonin had written to his followers, that it is the heart that needs to get pure, and that is going to create a pure land for us. So truly, let's look deep into seeing how we can reform ourselves as a society, and the measures, from the law industry, because this was definitely a discussion we wanted to have on how the pandemic has affected the prisoners in jail, especially the pregnant women, because they are in a position to, give birth to a completely new life that is not affected. So I really hope no child, in fact, no baby was born during the pandemic. We don't even know the figures or what the information is, but I truly hope that they were safe. And I hope that all of you can also reflect on this and let us know with all the messages that will come in. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you next week. And Friday, 5 p.m. again. And next week is special because it's also my birthday week. So I'll be looking forward to seeing everyone. Thank you. Have a great weekend.